I'm Mark Allan Atwood, and I was in that band.
Hi, Mark. I'm Grady Sandlin.
Hello, Grady.
First question. What are you doing on my family vacation?
Well, I was fortunate enough to kind of marry into a wonderful family, and I look forward to your family reunion every year. I'm glad I get to be a part of it.
Full disclosure, you're married to my stepsister.
That is correct.
More accurately, my sister.
Understood.
And yeah, we met at my house right after my daughter was born. Y'all came by to visit, and it was sort of it was cool because I had just met our now mutual friend Robbie White just earlier that week, and I think you had just visited with him, and so we kind of had it was a bit of a, how have we not met?
A little bit of kismet there. So it was crazy because we had come over to see you and see the new kiddo addition to the family and get beat by your son in Mario Kart, which was fun. And then we left there, immediately went to Robbie and Danielle's when they were still living in Van Alstyne. They obviously now live down on South Padre Island where I am. And we were talking about, he was telling me all about this band that he saw. He, man, just couldn't stop talking about them. The best band in Dallas, the most country band. I can't believe they're so great. They're called Raised Right Men. And Amy's like, wait a minute. You mean my brother's band? So that was fun. We left your place to go hear more about you.
I love to hear that. If only everyone could
If
do
only
that
worked every day. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So it's been cool, and then getting to I guess it was 2 years ago when we did this reunion. We went to, kind of to your hood, in South Padre, and got to see your show at
Hopper House.
At Hopper House, and that was amazing. So cool to see you there in your element, and
I do love the opportunity to play home shows down there. I don't get to do it, honestly, very often. I'm on the road most every week and or most every weekend, but when I get an opportunity to play down there, and Hopper House is so much more so than other places that have music. I'm choosing my words very carefully here. So much more music-centric than a lot of the other places down there on Tourist Island Central that have music, and they have much more of a focus of bringing in original artists, and the whole back area is basically pointed directly at the stage. It's set up, for that purpose. So, and of course, being a home show, I have a good draw there. So it's kind of like playing a baseball game in your home field.
Yeah. And the whole front area is small, but it's got those posters everywhere.
Right.
I mean, they're pushing
They're very
it,
music-centric.
That's really great.
And they've opened up since the last time you were there. They've built on a little addition there. Took a couple of parking spaces away, but they've built on a little addition there that seats now an additional, 25, 30 people in there, which was a lot compared to how small the front was originally.
Yeah.
And they've put a little corner stage in there too, so they don't have to worry about getting rained out or shows that are too cold, because when it dips below 60 out down there, everybody starts pretending like it's Alaska.
Yeah.
So they're very focused on the music, and I love partnering with them whenever I'm able to down there.
I think we both been around enough to where you see, I'm putting quotes in the air with my fingers, venues where the music is really an afterthought.
Yeah.
And they don't really value it. They just go, well, if we could bring a few extra people in the door, but it's not a venue. They're just going, oh, we could move a couple of tables and chairs and have some music in here, and that might bring in some people. And I'm more power to those places, but it is really nice to be in a place where music is really a part of their model and you can tell there's a lot of love and care there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and in the case of this particular place that we're talking about, these people are fans, and that's why it comes through. They're music fans. You know, they'll be gone for a weekend. Where'd you go? Well, we went up to the Hill Country, see who was playing at Green Hall, and kind of tooled around New Braunfels. You know, they're fans. So that's one reason why I like it. But you're right, and that is the reason why I was choosing my words there very carefully, because the words music venue get used a lot together in the same sentence, but music and venue are two completely different things. And so there are a lot of places that for which music is kind of an afterthought. And I think there are a lot of places, especially in a tourist area like that, or in any tourist area. I mean, if you think about it, there's no shortage of tourist areas around Texas. The Hill Country has a lot of them, that kind of feel obligated, I think, to have music because everybody else on the street does. And so they'll clear out, like you said, clear out a table in the corner and throw somebody up. And while I'm glad that those places exist because this is how I make a living and pay my bills, it is also wonderful when you get to do that in a place where that is the goal, where that is the focus, and people show up on purpose knowing that's why they're there.
Yeah. There's even, I think, you know, I do a fair amount of restaurant gigs, but they are still very music forward, and there's some, you know, there's some that I book at
right.
that, you know, where there isn't a proper stage, but they still are, they care about the music, but then there are places that I play where permanently they're going, we could probably have 6 tables here, you know, seat 30 more diners,
right?
And that is permanently a stage, and that says something too.
It does. If you're willing to dedicate floor space that you could be putting butts in seats for the menu to having room for musicians to play, that says a lot to me.
Yeah, and I'm inclined to, you know,
work with those people.
Yeah,
me
absolutely.
Too.
Yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, we're truly in it together. And you see, you know, the more I spend on the business side of it, you realize they really do love it, because there are times when, like, there are nights when you look around and go, this is a complete success, and from their side of it, it is not a complete success.
Right.
Even on what, you know, the optics make it look like a real good night. But
obviously, I'd always rather everybody win, but it doesn't always work out that way.
I think when I talked with Matt Pence, we decided music is the sport where everybody wins.
I would like for that to always be the case. I don't know that it always is, but it certainly should be when it's done right.
Yeah. Well, how did you end up doing this for a living? How did you get here? Well,
you know, my mom, and I talk about this a bit in my shows just briefly, but my mom was a phenomenal singer. I say was. She's still with us. She just can't sing anymore. She was a tremendous vocalist growing up, sang in choir coming up through school, and had a little band in college, and sang with the Dallas Symphony Orchestra. I've got a vinyl album with her singing with the DSO there. She was a tremendous singer, and so there was always music in the house. And she had this great record collection that shaped me pretty much into wanting to be a songwriter, which is a different focus from just growing up and wanting to play guitar and wanting to sing. I'm not saying it's better, and I'm not denigrating those people, but I was raised around songwriting. The Christopherson albums, the B.W. Stevenson albums, James Taylor, Jackson Browne, Joni Mitchell. That was the kind of stuff that I was raised on, and there was a creative force to that music that I didn't find on pop radio at the time. And as you and your brothers are so I grew up at a time where songwriting and singing weren't necessarily always done by the same people. I mean, you had in the 60s, and the Beatles changed everything where that was concerned, obviously, but in the 60s and even into the 70s, largely you had your songwriters on one side of the room and your artists, your performers on the other side of the room. The laundry list of names that I just mentioned helped change all that, but there was still a separation there. And so I gravitated toward these people that were doing their own music. It sparked something in me, and I always, love words and loved to write poetry even from a young age. And so I fancied myself as able to do that. And I am now. I wasn't when I started. I started writing songs when I was 14, and I will never, ever play any of those songs for anybody because they're terrible. But I did eventually learn what I was doing.
Did it start with the guitar?
It started with the guitar when it comes to songwriting. Like I said, I was writing poetry when I was a kid, but I had a friend of mine in junior high gave me a guitar. Now, I took lessons when I was 9, but I hated it because the guitar was garbage and it was hard to play and it hurt my fingers, and there were bikes to ride and tree houses to build, and I was not interested at all. But a buddy of mine in junior high gave me a guitar and taught me D, A, and G, and I was off to the races after that.
Yeah.
I started getting super serious about it when I was 18, 19, started hanging out on Lower Greenville Avenue in Dallas around all the songwriter haunts like the Saloon and Winedale Tavern and Port David's Pub when it was still located down there. And there were these songwriter open mic showcases where it wasn't just like an open mic, you get up and do whatever. It was very specific. You get up and do your stuff. And once I found that there was an audience for that, it was like opening up a playground for me. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
Who was around then? Like, are there guys you met then who are still around or that are...
The Ackermans.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Do you know Bob and Sally?
I don't know them, but I have a family member, we'll call him a cousin, but an uncle, I guess, or cousin, more accurately, I guess, who he and his wife sang, and so did their daughter when she was growing up. That like in the Leanne Rimes period, they were kind of, I think, pushing her toward it, but they like to sing and play, and they knew the Ackermans and they played.
So they're still around, still doing it. But when he was the host of this saloon, the Saloon on Lower Greenville, which it hasn't been there for 30 years, but this songwriter showcase, and that's where I was introduced to guys like Rick Yost, who was a tremendous guitar player, and Rick's no longer with us, I don't think, but passed away a couple of years ago. But it was just, great stuff and lots of creativity. And I learned by sitting in the corner and watching these cats do songs that they had written. I learned about turn of phrase. I learned about bridges. I learned about how to, tell a story with rhyming words and a few very simple chords. Now, I had already been learning that stuff from Christofferson, but here was a chance for me to learn it up close and personal with people that were doing it. And I mean, I still remember some of those songs from some of those people. It was a tremendous creative breeding ground of songwriting and people that were showing up, like I say, on purpose to see that sort of thing. And it was wonderful. I did that whole singer-songwriter thing and bounced around those types of places for a few years. And then I ended up and doing some gigs once I felt like I was good enough, solo. And then ended up in a couple of different bands. I would be the side guy in a country band, and they'd push me out front on the lead vocal mic whenever the rednecks at the honky tonk started hollering for rock and roll to do a Seeger song or a Skynyrd song. And I came up doing all that. By the late 80s, hair metal, which we didn't call hair metal at the time, it was just metal.
Yeah, just metal.
Was the hot new thing, and I had the range to hit all those notes. And my brother was in a local metal band, and he asked me if I would come do some practices with them because they were going to. He said, "I know it's not your thing, but we're going to audition some singers. We'd like to get tight before we do that. Would you come and just fill in as the vocalist and kind of run through these songs with us so we can get better?" And 2 weeks after that, I was the singer. So I spent 10 years doing metal stuff with two bands, Wild Child, which was that original band that my brother had been in for about 5 years, and then Wasteland for about 5 years. And in the first of those two, Wild Child, we were really strong in DFW. And in Wasteland, we were okay in DFW, but we'd go outside of North Texas and do opening tour support shows for everybody. I mean, we were doing Dokken and King's X and Great White and Tesla, and we were the whipping boys of tour support for Texas shows for a lot of those cats. And we were playing to just giant crowds at that time. But when we were at home, not as much as Wild Child, which was weird. But
yeah, that's interesting.
But it was a lot of fun, and so that was a fun 10 years.
What, like, that brings up a bunch of stuff, but like,
oh, I'm sure it does.
What I'm imagining your outfit choices right now.
Oh, I can show you some.
Okay. Yeah, what
spandex always fits. Like, you never outgrow spandex. It just always fits. It might not fit as well, but it always fits.
Oh God, the visual.
Try going to sleep after that.
Yeah. What's like when you talk about those records and stuff, those are masters, those are giants.
Yeah.
And then you talk about going and like being around other people who are doing it, no matter how well they're doing it, that's got to make it like a bit more approachable, right?
It did. It absolutely did. And I don't know that I would phrase it no matter how well they're doing it, because these were people that were just killing it, just not as well known.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
I knew what you meant. I just wanted to be kind of specific about that, because I mean, I was hanging out with some really super strong writers, and I still do to this day, which is one of my favorite things about what I do for a living, is that I get to hang out with great creatives. But yeah, I mean, it made it much more approachable. I was able to see myself a little bit in them doing that, and it made it less fantasy dream and more achievable goal.
I've been in, a lot of bands, and I've had so many, like, I tell people all the time, Raised Right Men is like the first band that I've been in that was like really well liked. I've been in things where we were able to, have like a cult following, or be kind of have a little social scene around us, or get some critical appeal or things like that. But doing this is where I'm making new friends because they like the same kind of music that we play and the same kind of music that I like, and making fans that way. And it's,
right.
It's like, I'm more used to having like 5 of the same weird dudes show up to my shows.
I understand.
And these guys aren't together, and
right.
they're not friends.
Right.
They're just 5 individuals who are like, I'm like you guys.
Grady, how to spin that to a venue owner or a talent buyer is, I'll have 5 different tables of people that didn't even come together show up at this show. That's how I would spin it. But that's just me.
So I think my point being that, yeah, no matter if it's successful or if it's a failure, you're just around people doing it, and to me that will send a little signal to your brain of like, well, I know those chords,
right?
These words, it's I think the good ones anyway. There's like an economy of words that goes along with songwriting. There are exceptions, and they're great ones, but you go like, you are around people doing it enough, and you see something in your brain starts to go, you can do this, man.
Yeah.
You can do that. You can come back next week with a new song to show these people, and then you're not just you can pretty quickly become a peer.
That's certainly how the door was open for me and how it started out. There's no question. It was a thing of, hey, I can be part of that scene because I have this set of skills. I just have to learn how to apply them like these cats that I'm watching are doing. And it was a, I'm not trying to break my arm patting myself on the back, but it was a fairly easy transition at that point.
Yeah.
Once I realized that, like you say, this is accessible, this is doable, then I had nothing but the ultimate confidence that I could do it.
Did being a metal singer, did that sidetrack your personal journey of songwriting?
I don't think there's any question that it sidetracked it. I don't know that I would classify that sidetrack 10 years as bad. I think it was wonderful. I probably had about 5 or 6 years under my belt of gigging before I started doing that kind of music, and it was all, classic rock, folk, soft rock, singer-songwriter stuff, and my own stuff, country, and then, of course, my own originals as they were coming together at the time. And then that 10 years was a completely different track than I had been on. So sidetracked is probably a good word for it. I don't know that I'd classify it as bad because, man, it's hard to say something was bad when you were playing in front of thousands of people and hanging out with bona fide freaking rock stars. That was really cool.
And you're still writing.
And yeah, I'm still recording. My solo albums full of my own work didn't even start until I came back after a 7-year break after the metal thing, the Wasteland thing finally dissolved. My daughter was of a certain age and marital issues, and I wanted to be home. You know the drill. Mm-hmm. And so I took about a 7-year break, and when I came back, that's when I started doing what you see me doing now.
But when you're in those bands, you are writing the lyrics that you're singing?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it's not like,
I never stopped writing the whole, in fact, those Wild Child and Wasteland songs were great. In Wild Child, we had 3 writers. In Wasteland, we had 2. I was doing melody lines and lyrics and some chord progressions. I'm not a great guitar player, but I was serviceable for, writing standards in that particular, power chords. It's metal. What are you going to do? Mm-hmm. And I had a fantastic guitar player who unfortunately is pretty much retired from actively playing, which is a shame, but people all across the country and in North Texas are happy that he has time to work on their guitars because it's Dan McCarthy who owns Dallas Guitar Repair.
Yeah.
So the 2 of us were the main writers in Wasteland. So I was always writing through that whole time. I never stopped. It was just a totally different genre. But I go back and I listen to some of that stuff now lyrically. And yes, it's totally different musically. But I listen to some of that stuff lyrically and I'm like, I had some stuff to say then that wasn't necessarily the standard, overindulgent 80s hair metal fare. So, I've always been a little in love with the ability to tell a story or make a point in a song. And I was then too, maybe more so than some of my peers at the time that were singing about, chicks and parties.
Yeah. Well, there's stories to be told.
I do like chicks and parties. Let's get that. Let's make sure we're very clear on that. But no, there was a different tone to some of that Wasteland material, and unfortunately, God, we were such a great band, and it just didn't work out time wise because we were starting to kill it and do these opening tours with some of these bigger bands right at the time that genre of music was getting tossed aside.
Yeah.
It was the rise of Seattle, and when Nirvana and Alice in Chains and Soundgarden were on the come up, all of our bands were being ignored as that's so yesterday. We don't listen to that music anymore. We're not programming that music anymore. It's not going to be on the radio anymore. So why are you wasting your time doing this? And it kind of was a probably at least one factor in why I took so many years away from it, because I was so disillusioned. We worked so hard and got so good and put out such good content, and it didn't matter because the entire genre almost overnight just got tossed in the trash can.
Yeah. That is so fascinating to me, and you'll you'll find artists through time, even in the 60s, that will go, well, we had a really good thing going until the Beatles hit.
Right.
Right. And then I think, for I'll say our generation, but more accurately your generation, because I was 11 years old.
Fair enough.
And just liking whatever was on MTV, and when Nirvana happened, I knew it was different. I knew a change happened, but it wasn't so obvious until a couple years later, and it kind of became what happened to them?
Yeah.
It's a strange thing to me, because Nirvana, or that's whatever, they're the darling of it, obviously, but the grunge
Alice
thing,
in Chains would have been my favorite, but yeah, go ahead.
Everyone's got their favorites.
Yeah.
But it was such a strange thing that it not only like changed the culture, but I mean, then do you figure that audience, the people who were going to see you guys, are like, as that
they were musically homeless.
Well, and
at that point.
or they just go, well, I'm cutting these spandex off, and I'm going to the thrift store today, and
but a lot of people that weren't willing to change did kind of become musically homeless there for a while. There's been a resurgence over the last 10 years of that sort of music, and I'm glad to see it, because it's fun, and there's a place for fun in our business, and sometimes we have a tendency to take ourselves way too seriously.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of people that just said, okay, well, I guess I'm not doing that anymore. I'm doing this now. Yeah.
Musicians and fans.
Yeah, musicians and fans. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a whole and I mean, did you have peers at that time who were going, we have to shift direction, we have to change our name and try and like,
obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously. And it's the same I'm going to choose my words very carefully here.
You do that.
It's the same personality type then as the people that you see now who are willing to drift along with whatever the current wave of popularity is when it comes to writing and pushing their own music. I love this whole thing about what is and isn't country music. It is one of the more popular arguments in our business that you will find among fans, among executives, programmers, you name it. Well, that's not real country. What is real country? And I think that, and I'm not getting into that whole argument right now, because you only have, so much time for one podcast. But that'd be like a 3-episode mini documentary. But anyway,
what is country? With Mark Allan Atwood.
Yeah, let's not go there. But I think that you see a lot of those same types of people that were cutting the spandex off then and growing their bangs and staring at their shoes while playing 3 chords, that are the same personality types now that are going along with whatever is the hot new thing. You'll see it in trends. You see it all the time.
I do.
And I just never, maybe I would have been more successful if I cared about that sort of stuff. And I suppose if that's what you're after, which is a certain notching, a certain level of success or a certain income or a certain popularity, then that's fine. I just never really cared about that. And I still kind of don't. I love it when people come to see me on purpose, but I'm giving them what I want them to hear regardless.
Well, you kind of mentioned having a moment of disillusionment with that.
Oh, yeah.
And going, man, I've spent a decade chasing this, and then a trend changed.
Killed it.
A good band or a good scene came along and wiped it off the face of the earth.
It was dinosaurs.
And so you've got to you've got a thing now that is sustainable.
I think it's bulletproof because because I don't care.
Right.
And B, because it's me doing what I'm authentically wanting to do.
Yeah.
And
that
and
won't
if
change.
if that works and it becomes popular, great. If it doesn't, also okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'm blessed. I tell people all the time, it is ridiculous that I am a 63-year-old man that gets to
We can
live.
edit that out, by the way.
No, that's fine. I don't care. I don't look 63, so I still got that going for me.
I'm just keeping the busting your balls thing
And
going.
I do appreciate that tradition. But it's ridiculous if you think about it that I'm a 63-year-old man running around the entire 269,000 square miles of Texas and beyond, and I get to sit up in a room, play whatever the hell I want to play, and tell stories and sing stories that came out of my own brain, and they give me money, and I get to pay electric bills with that. Would it be great if it went viral? Sure, but then there's a whole lot of other responsibilities that go along with that. But it's also great if this is what it is. Did I chase something more? Oh, yeah. A lot, but this is sustainable, as you say, and I think I'm enjoying it, and I can do it as long as I want.
Yeah, and you will.
I'll tell you one thing real quick about that whole extinction level event that happened with metal. Jenny Lane told the story about. By the way, Jenny Lane was probably one of the most underappreciated badass frontman from that whole scene. And I say underappreciated because a lot of guys were like, oh, they're just singing about cherry pie and
for context, this is the singer from Warrant.
From Warrant, yeah. And they were singing, a lot of poppy. In fact, they were one of the bands that kind of took it to the poppy extreme that a lot of people blame for killing it. But he was a ridiculously talented guy. I've seen him in a tiny room full of 300 people, which was tiny for the audiences that Warrant was playing at the time. Just walk into a room, set up with the band that's on stage, and he had that entire place wrapped around his little finger. If he told them to go out and smack the first person they saw, they'd do it. I mean, he was a tremendously charismatic and talented vocalist. But anyway, he once told a story about he knew it was over when he walked into the record label's office. He went into the lobby of their label's office there in L.A., and the giant poster behind the receptionist, which had been Warrant's Cherry Pie album cover forever, was Alice in Chains' Jar of Flies. He said, yep, that's pretty much when I knew it was over. Yeah. And it was an extinction level event for the genre.
Yeah, I feel like I heard an interview recently with Joe Elliott. That's
Def
his name,
Leppard
right?
singer,
Def Leppard, yeah. That they were like, oh, well, this is happening in America, and they sort of really pushed their international touring, and he's like, oh, and now it's come back around, and he's like, so we've never like, once we hit the arena and stadium level, we've never gone back. For them,
Def Leppard was kind of bulletproof too.
Well, sure, but I mean, you could see if they had been like, oh, we're just going to keep following this model in the States, that eventually,
and all of those bands that were following that model in the States were playing smaller and smaller and smaller venues all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they were like, no, we're going to Japan.
Good
we're
for
going
them.
to South America.
Yeah.
We're going to Europe, and we're going to, continue on this path because we are.
Because we are the 400-pound gorilla in the genre, and they were too. I'm glad to see it making a comeback, like you say, and it is. But it's not the kind of music that I was really drawn to at the time. It just, I had the chops to sing those notes.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of fun for me. And then, of course, there were the girls and the attention and the party. It
does come back to that.
It was a great time. It was a great time. I'm not lying. It was a great time. But what I'm doing now is much closer to the type of stuff that I originally started writing. And I think it's kind of where I had that 10 years not existed. I think where I am now is kind of where I would have ended up eventually, maybe a little sooner, but it's kind of more along the lines of where I always saw myself as a writer going, if that makes sense.
It does. Yeah. Is there, I got to feel like as a writer, you have to feel like you're at your very best right now, and you will continue to be at your best. You're not chasing anything
Right.
from your past and going, man, right in this period, I was going through this, and that's where my best writing was.
Gosh, I'm glad I'm not stuck in that. That would be awful.
Well, that might be the theme we're kind of on for this episode, is that we're not being too stuck in one place. Is there a point that you can go back to and listen to stuff of yours and go, I'm still proud of that. That doesn't make me cringe, or like I kind of feel like I was actually starting to really get something right at this point? Or I mean, you said there's points of it that you don't feel that way about, and that's why I'm asking this.
Yeah. No, I don't cringe with any of it, because I put my my heart and soul into everything that we did whenever we did it. I mean, there's some poppy metal stuff that we did in Wasteland as we were trying to acquiesce a little bit to labels at the time, and turns out we were on the horizon of that extinction level event, so we were wasting our time. But that I'm not necessarily thinking, oh, that's some really good writing there, Atwood. But for the most part, I'm pretty proud of everything that I've done. I will say there are two different levels of that. Like, am I proud of the writing, or am I proud of the recording? Because those are two totally different things. My first solo album of all my own stuff came out in 2009, and I still love some of the songs on that record. There's one that I don't play live because I think it's silly, but for the most part, the writing was really solid. And that was those were songs that I started writing when I first came back from this kind of exile from the music business, trying to be a normal person, which is not in the cards for me, but that's a whole different podcast. And so I was proud of the songs. I'm a better writer now than I was then, but I'm proud of the songs that I did on that record. Now, as far as the record itself, I go back now and I listen. I'm like, God, I wish we had mic'd this drum differently. I wish we had retracked this vocal. I wasn't happy with my take on that. I wish we had done this or that technical thing differently. I've got 5 albums out, and I can go back and pick them all apart and think that there's something on each of them that I wish I had done better. And when I do the next one, hopefully I will. And so it's always chasing that. If I'm chasing anything, it's to be a better version of myself. I'm not chasing anything else.
Have you ever thought something went so badly or was captured so wrongly, or that you re-recorded it?
Oh yeah.
You've done that?
Oh yeah.
I think that's cool. I like when artists do that.
And only once, really, a couple of times, but once that falls into the explanation that you just gave. There's a song on that first solo album called Hurricane Wind, and I loved that song, still love that song. When Brimstone and I were doing our albums, which is the most successful outfit I've been in this whole, I don't know what we're calling it this week, Texas Country Red Dirt Americana. There's a different name for it every week. Mm-hmm. They used to call it OKOM, which was our kind of music, which was the dumbest name to ever give a genre, but whatever. I mean, don't make it hard for people to say. Anyway, that band was the most success that I've had in this particular type of genre. And we did 2 albums, and I tried on both of those albums to get Hurricane Wind recut on both of those albums, and our producer was like, it doesn't really fit the theme of the record. It doesn't really. So, there were several times after that I tried to re-record it, and then this most recent album, which is called Old Scars and Sandbars, came out in 23. I was in charge of everything, content, production, everything. And by God, I got Hurricane Wind re-recorded, and it sounds fan-freaking-tastic.
At long last.
At long last. It just took me several years.
Okay. Yeah, this our kind of music, this genre. What's how do you
talk about cringy? That OKOM, stop.
Well, I'm just okay.
No, I'm not telling you to stop.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, whatever we're calling it this week. I think Americana is great because it's such a wide open label and so many different things can fall under it. And when I first came back after this, exile that I talked about earlier, that's what this music was.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, charts got involved. And when there were charts, there became promoters. And when there were promoters, there became money involved. And once money started coming into the business of chasing radio success, the genre narrowed. Like crazy narrowed. Whereas, in 2008, it was wide open. You could hear anything from something that sounded R&B to swampy to country to hickey to hillbilly to bluegrassy. And then all of a sudden it became a very narrowly defined genre because that was a homogenized version of that was what people wanted to hear on the radio. And so once the chasing radio chart thing came in, the Texas music thing narrowed considerably. I never liked that. I liked the wide open thing. So I think Americana is a great, not that anybody's ever asked me my opinion on that, but I think it's a great title for it because it leaves the door open for so many influences.
Yeah, and it does have a sound. It's a broad sound.
It's a very broad sound.
Rock is a broad sound, and country is narrower, but can still be pretty broad.
But there's a lot of country in Americana. Yeah. And there's a lot of swampy stuff, and there's a lot of R&B. I just think it's the best. I really do.
Yeah.
Sorry, I took a side road there. I'm sorry.
No, it all fits. And that creating your own chart kind of thing is, I think I got my own opinions about that, but I try to stay positive, and it's not something that really affects me. But there was a time, and it's a little bit after you're talking about, where it did affect me, and I was playing in bands, and I thought the whole thing was this whole come one, come all.
Yeah.
Make your kind of music, and we've got an audience for it. And when it narrowed, I found the artists I was playing with on the outside of it.
Yeah.
And people going, and you'd feel it from even the fans and people going, you really ought to, and it's like, you really ought to what?
Yeah.
And
there very much was that going on.
Step off,
And, we were talking about this earlier about how when people were cutting off the spandex and changing their styles, same thing happened when the genre narrowed. Everybody was looking for an angle to get to what it was that was appealing to people at the most at that time. So they were following the trends there. Still doing it. Mm-hmm. And I want to be real clear in case somebody listens to this and goes, well, I know Atwood's full of it right now. Well, I was chasing that too for a period of time. I felt obligated to do that for my bandmates. I wanted us to be successful because I wanted them to be, here they are dedicating their time and their energy and their lives to basically playing my music. I wanted us to be successful for them as much as for anything else. So, we did the pay promoter thing. We released singles to radio. We tried to get chart success, had some mixed bag results. But, I went after that whole thing too. I'm no better than anybody else.
I think all that is fine and necessary to a point. But I think you and I and everyone who likes good music or appreciates good music knows that if the song is no good, it will not do anything.
I sure wish that was true.
Well, I think I'm meaning in any kind of in any kind of like meaningful sense.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You can,
but in meaningful sense is a broad term as well. There were plenty of people that were paying the right promoters, the right amount of money, who were getting radio success with material that I thought, yeah, it's pretty weak.
Yeah.
You know, and so we thought, well, surely, if you can get chart success with stuff like that, then the stuff we're doing it wasn't in that narrow genre, so it didn't work out the way we expected.
Yeah.
And if that sounds like I'm embittered and old and grumpy, I'm not trying to be. I'm just reporting. I'm only a couple of those things. I'm just reporting what our attempts were and how our feelings were in that moment, because we definitely thought that we had a product as Brimstone that was worthy of being included in all that. And I still go back and I listen to those albums. I mean, we did them at Yellow Dog, which, you know, Yellow Dog is one of the finest recording studios. We just finished something with Dave Percival at his new Yellow Dog location in San Marcos, me and my current band. So I've been working with those guys for years. Adam Oder, tremendous producer. You know, we thought, here we're using all the right people. We're doing all the right things. We've got great content. It's going to work. And it didn't. And that's just the nature of the beast, you know?
Yeah.
But we felt like we put out good stuff, and we thought, well, if this is making it, maybe our stuff surely will be good enough. And that kind of wasn't the case.
Yeah. I think really there is, there's little correlation between, you know, quality and success. And I tend to think success is mainly just a luck thing. And you're trying to predict what people will like.
But there's a little correlation. You got to be good.
Well, sure.
You got to have something worthy, I think.
I'm wary of anyone who, I feel like I've, for brief periods, I have worked with people who were like, who were chasing something. And I'm just wary of anyone who wants to somehow circumvent doing actual work.
Right.
And people who go, well, if I can work with this producer and this promoter, then never mind that these songs aren't any good.
I call them the anglers.
Okay.
Because there are people that are just looking for the angle. Like you say, if I work with this correct person, or I use this correct promoter, I use this subject material for the songs, I have this sound that matches up with what's trending now, and whatever it is, it's people always looking. I have a friend who's, I'm not gonna talk crap about him. He works really hard, but he's also always looking for an angle, and I guess we're all looking for an angle because we try to do music for a living as much as for an art pursuit. And if you're trying to make a living at it, you obviously want to set yourself up in such a way that you can get paid as much as you can and pay your bills and all that. So a certain level of tangible success is necessary because, the bank doesn't operate on hopes and dreams. But I know a lot of people that are just more about that and the angles, and if we do this, that if 1 + 1 = 2, then and I don't think that's art.
And all those things can be good.
Yeah, they can.
Like the song can be good, the musicians and the singer can be good, the producer can be good, the radio promoter can be good, and it does not spell success. Whereas I think if you did, you have the same chance of success if the song is good and you get lucky.
Yeah.
And all those other things are kind of...
Luck is a great equalizer, and it bypasses a lot of the hard work. That's true.
You're trying to, I guess, give yourself the best shot at every step of the way. And something I think that kind of sucks is a lot of times people put a lot into the songs, put a lot into rehearsing it, getting it good, and then because of financial reasons, they fall short when it comes to the production, and they fall short where it comes to the promoter. And when it actually does get to some ears of deciding if people are going to hear it,
it's not quite at the level that gets the ears attention.
And that's a terrible place for you to fumble the ball.
It's a bad place for an artist to find themselves. Because there's not much you can do about it at that point. You've done your job of creating the art to the best of your ability, and there's been a fumble along the way.
But I think that's where just going, well, I've got my guitar.
Yeah.
I've got a little PA that fits in my car.
Yeah.
I can, your whole touring operation is you. You're the crew.
It is. It's me.
And you can kind of put it together.
Now I do have a band now, and we're doing some band shows, and it's a lot of fun. And I'm really enjoying
heard talk of this band.
It is a good band. I'm really enjoying being back on a stage with a band. It doesn't make me any money, right. And that's part of the trade-off. I get to travel around by myself and make a living, and I get to book some band shows that are a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I still like to play original music I still like to play music I like with people I like.
There you go.
And I've come to treat it more.
There's a financial trade-off for that's worth it.
Oh yeah. I treat it more like, I don't gamble, I don't hunt, I don't play golf. To me that's guys night.
Yeah,
is when it and we will
when
still
you get together with people you like, playing music you like, and whether it's a financial boon or a financial bust, you're still out there having a good time. No, I totally agree, and we're probably right now doing more full band shows than I've done in 10 years since Brimstone, actually, and it's been a lot of fun. We get better every time we get together. We've got a fairly tight, permanent lineup now. And, man, it's just, all these cats individually are super talented. In fact, our last 3 full band shows, our opener has been a different member of the band who are themselves singer-songwriters doing the opening set for the band before we all get together. So it's a lot of fun to have that level of talent. We're talking 4-part harmonies, and it's just a lot of fun because everybody in the group is an artist. So it's been a lot of fun. It's not financially rewarding, and I don't really care.
Yeah. I feel like everywhere right now I keep hearing venues are in trouble. People aren't going out to shows as much. That's certainly the narrative. And I see them closing. I'm trying to think of, I don't know. There've been some that have in Fort Worth specifically where, because of the growth of the town, in 2 cases I can think of, the Magnolia Motor Lounge and the Post, where they closed their location where everyone knew them and then moved to another location, and then some other places have closed or sort of redefined what they were doing. But do you is that affecting you? Is you seeing that going on?
I have seen that going on, and I have. This will come as absolutely no surprise to you whatsoever. I have an opinion on that, but I'm not going to bore you with it. I will say just briefly. I think there is, with a few very notable exceptions, and I don't want anybody to get mad at me, but I think that a lot of the places that are closing are experiencing, like you said, fewer people are going out. So there's a shrinking of the base. There's a shrinking of the consumer base for these venues, and the ones that are going to come through it are the ones that are doing things the right way. Mm-hmm. They're doing the right kind of music. They're producing quality shows. They're doing quality promotions. They have not a lot of staff turnover because their employees are happy to be there. They're running an operation the right way. And I think that this shrinking of the consumer base for live music consumption will eventually result in there'll be casualties that we'll miss that were really good along the way. I'm not trying to discount any of the great venues that are closing, but I think the cream will rise. Yeah. And I really do believe that the scene will benefit ultimately, even though the growing pains are going to hurt. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, well, I think probably like if you were going to have a music venue is a lot like if you're going to have a band or if you're going to be an artist, which is right. if your goal is money, then
you have to operate it a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if your goal is good music, if you really love it, I think you'll find a way to survive. But let's just get down to it. I don't think anyone's going to get rich off of it.
Agreed.
Off of, or at least
off of a more artistic pursuit. I don't think anybody's getting rich off of that, venue-wise. No, I agree with you, and I think there's a reason why all of us, and I say us, people like you and me, have probably always thought, if I just win the lottery, I'm going to open a great music venue, and it won't have to make money, but it's going to be awesome. And that's because we understand that those two things, awesome, quality, artistic, and financially rewarding, don't always come in the same batch.
Yeah, we do. And but I do see those. I don't know. I guess I know who those. We know who those people are. I'm shouting them out a little bit. I know they. And like I said, some of the people I work with, they will be upfront with me and just go, well, this thing I'm doing here, this is not a money making venture, and their whole reason for existing is just existing.
Right.
Is to stay afloat, employ people,
but
and be a place where good music goes down.
But I do think that at some point, if you can survive, and that's a big if, because this business, people go in and out all the time. But if you can survive, I do think there is an equation where you put out good stuff, you bring in good people, you have a quality product that you're not focused on the money up front, you're focused on the quality and the caliber, and at some point, I think those two things will marry up down the line. I do. I think the most successful long-term venues, if you look at them, have always been the ones that have done it right from the get-go, whether they were always making money or not.
Yeah.
So I do think there's a place for both of those things.
I think that about artists too.
Yeah.
You kind of just go, well, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to just put everything I can into these songs, into these performances. I will not mail in a performance, and
I can't. It hurts my heart,
and it makes me angry when I'm on the stage with someone and I notice them doing it. I'll
almost play harder out of spite when I'm playing for a bored room or an empty room, and that I had expectations to be better than it is, and I'll just get mad and I'll play even harder and put on one of the best shows of the week just because I'm angry about it. Well, I can't mail it in,
and so, I can't either. I don't understand it at all. But there is
maybe those people are in it for the wrong reasons.
Maybe so. But I'm surprised by, there's always been those times, even when there's seemingly no one in the room, but it is someone. Certainly there are souls there. When you still make that connection, when one of the few people goes, "Oh man, I really like this. I'm having a party at my house. I'd like you to come."
Happens all the time.
Or exactly.
Happens all the time. And which is another good reason to always remember you're not alone in a room that you might think you're alone in, so do your best at all times.
That's really it. Or just, hey, I want to buy a CD, and and then the next time you're in town, that person's there they brought a friend.
I had somebody come up to me at a show recently, and they apparently knew my stuff and I didn't know them. I'm not famous, and I'm not even super popular. So I have a chance to get to know pretty much the people that come to see me on purpose. I recognize, there are a few faces that I recognize and don't know the names sometimes, but I mostly know the folks that come. And or at least I have seen them and interacted with them at some point in the future. I mean, in the past. But there was a person that came to a show recently, a guy that came to a show recently and said that the music had a big impact on him, started talking about songs specifically and lyrics and I had never had a conversation with this person. And he had like both of the Brimstone albums and wanted to know more about when the CD, the tangible CD of Old Scars was coming out. So you're always making a connection, even when you think you're not. Even if you're unaware of it, you're making a connection with somebody. So you should always be cognizant of that whenever you're performing. It's a responsibility to do it right.
Yeah.
Or quit or go get a job, because if you're not going to sit on a stage, unless you don't care about your art, if it's just all about money, then I can understand getting bored in an empty room. But if you care about what it is that you're doing, if you have the privilege of sitting on stage in a room where people are forced to pay attention to you as much or more than anything else that they're doing in that moment, then you have a responsibility to do it to the best of your ability. That's just how I view it.
That's what makes you, you know? Mm-hmm. What's like around the bend for you? So
we just cut a song at Yellow Dog in San Marcos with my band Texadillo Revue. Revue, Revue, like a Broadway show, because I started it originally not knowing what the format was going to be or who the members were going to be. I kind of felt like it'd be a roving band of whoever I picked up in whatever town, but the name stuck. So
personnel stuck? And the personnel have finally stuck.
Yeah. And so I'm really happy about that. It's a really talented lineup. Everybody has their own things going on and other bands and other, pursuits, but we're all kind of solid in Texadillo Revue. So we just cut our first song as a band at Yellow Dog with Dave Percival at the helm. And for those who are not familiar with Dave, he's owned Yellow Dog for years, is an award-winning producer, engineer, and up until recently has taken, several trips per year across the pond to go record big projects at Abbey Road. When he built this new facility in San Marcos, his goal was to give himself a room that he didn't need to go to Abbey Road anymore. And he says, now I've got everything I've ever wanted to work with over there right here in San Marcos. So we just cut that, and I'm excited to hear what it sounds like. No idea when it'll be ready, but it'll be ready when it's ready.
Yeah, man. That's cool. That's amazing about where it is today with production.
Yeah.
What's available to anyone, I guess, who's got the cash for it and knows how to use it.
Absolutely.
That's a wonderful thing that you can, have a
Old Scars
studio.
Was recorded in a new, you talk about the amazing technology that we have today if you know how to use it. Old Scars was recorded in a totally different way than I've ever done. There is a studio in Covington, Georgia that's owned by a couple of brothers, and they have some hotshot studio cats that are just killer players, and they kind of do the hire out process of, you send them your stuff and you kind of go back and forth with them on the sound you're looking for. They give you a song, you take it, you go somewhere else, you cut vocals, you send it back to them, they mix it, and we never had to meet. I never had to go to their studio. So it was wonderful. And the crazy thing is I've had reviews saying this is the best album you've ever done. I disagree, but that's the point is it sounds great.
Yeah.
And I missed the magic of going into the studio. So I'm super excited about our opportunity to go cut this song as a band in a real badass studio.
That's amazing too. I just listened to a podcast with a guy who was talking about working on a TV show, and how he was talking about sort of how you work your way up in the ranks of being a writer or a showrunner and all this. And he was kind of like, oh, whatever, first assistant or something like that, and that his job on this show was to take the most recent cut or kind of what they had shot that day, that immediately get taken to an editing studio, get edited, burned onto to DVDs, and then he would be tasked with driving
all over the
DVDs
place,
around the city
to see him, yeah.
to producers, to everyone who was working on the show to, hand them out. And I was like, oh my God, that's like, you were Dropbox, holy shit.
A two-legged Dropbox. Yeah.
I mean, because now, you can go, you could even cut a vocal and they could go, oh, hey man, first line of the second verse, give me that. Give me one more take at this last chorus. Like, you could kind of do it
right
through correspondence that way.
Or you could just go when you're doing your vocals and cut 2 or 3 passes at it and give it to them so they can comp whatever they need out of it to find.
We got a visitor.
Hold on just one second.
We'll edit this out. Or maybe we won't. Maybe this is really good. Before we were so rudely interrupted, we were talking about something that neither of us, it was so important, we can't...
crucial.
We can't get back to it.
We can't quite recreate it. That's the spin.
But yeah, I think we were trying to wrap up kind of and talking about...
new projects and what's on
where
the
it's
horizon.
going. You got your band.
So I've got a new song that will be released before the Texadillo Review song. That was done with that same process that I used on Old Scars and Sandbars. It's a song called "The Beer's Better in Mexico" that I wrote kind of after Old Scars was finished recording, but well before it was released, and I was still working with those cats in Covington. And I sent them the song, and we went back and forth on it a little bit and got a good base of it. And I went and did vocals for it and hated my vocals. Just couldn't stand it. Mm-hmm. And so I have enlisted a friend of mine with another studio in Central Texas that has great vocal tracking capabilities. And I'm going to go in there with him. We're trying to hash out a time right now. Within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to go in there and knock out the lead vocals for this song that is otherwise pretty much already done. Mm-hmm. And hopefully be able to release that before the end of summer.
Okay.
And that'll be released just under my name. But
and what's the name?
The name of the song is called "The Beer's Better in Mexico."
Okay. And your name is?
I can't remember. Who knows? I think it's, however you spell it, it's Mark Allan Atwood, but there's apparently a lot of different spellings.
Yeah.
Which, for those of you who don't know me, is kind of a bit that I do, because apparently nobody can spell my name correctly. I used to have a page on my website that was just dedicated to pictures of marquees and newspaper ads and show flyers that had creative misspellings of my name, which apparently is harder to spell than I ever realized. I thought it was pretty basic. My favorite of those ever was where a venue, I think it was in Paris, Texas. I can't remember the name of the venue, not that I'd say it anyway, was trying to make their own show flyer, and which I always appreciate it when a venue goes the extra mile to make their own promotional materials. No sarcasm, that's genuine. They were trying to make their own show flyer to promote the show, and they went to my website and took a picture off of it that had my name spelled correctly. It was like a promo shot. Had my name spelled correctly underneath my picture. And they took that entire picture with the text underneath the picture and put it on the top of the show flyer, and then immediately underneath that misspelled my name.
Yeah. I do a little bit of trying to promote shows on my own, and you can just, if only you had something, we all had something at our fingertips at all times
to search.
where you could just type in the closest approximation that you could get to spelling something.
And then it would automatically spit out the correct one?
Yeah.
Like a supercomputer that you could carry in your pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
If only. We should get to work on that.
We should work on that.
So stay tuned. Follow us for more on that.
It used to bother me because I kind of felt like, hey, if you don't care about me enough to look up how to spell my name, then you don't care about me at all. And then I realized, people are busy. They've got their own crap going on. And so now it's just become a hilarious bit. And a lot of my friends, which are fans, but I call them my friends because, like I said, I'm not famous. I get to know just about everybody that comes to the shows. They play along with the bit. I played a local show at home last weekend, which is, as we talked about earlier, doesn't happen very often. I'm usually on the road. And the owner of the venue put up on his chalkboard behind the stage, Mark with a C, Allan with an E, and Atwood with 2 T's. And he thought he was just hilarious. Yeah. So my friends have jokes.
Yeah.
And it's become a bit, which is fun. Now we have fun with it. I
had a good one. We went to play a brewery, and it was early. We didn't have proper promo photos for Raised Right Men or anything like that. But we went, and I was looking at a little, thing, I guess, that they had been using to advertise leading up to the event that they had on a table or on the bar or something. And I was like, what? And it said, talking about the event and all the things, and then featuring music by the Raised Right Men band. And, the Raised Right Men is fine too, yeah. And putting band, whatever. We're still, I guess, getting the point across. But then I look at the picture, and we had recently done a show with 1100 Springs, and it was on a patio of this bar that doesn't normally have music, and it just one of their events, and it wasn't. So I mean, already kind of zooming in with my eyes, going, that's a little kind of a dark picture, not one I would have picked out. I might have found one maybe taken during daylight or something like that, and I looked, and it was a picture of 1100 Springs. Well,
you and Matt Hillier look so much alike,
and he's notoriously the singing drummer of
1100
Springs. So, but yeah, I've of course snapped a picture and said, sent it to Matt immediately, Matt and Steve, and said, hey, check this out.
Nice.
Check out the Raised Right Men band that now features you guys.
That now features 1100 Springs. So I recently had a picture of our guitar player in Texadillo Review up on my Facebook page, and a venue was in a hurry, or I think it was a promoter actually, was in a hurry to send a promotional flyer to the venue that he booked me, and he just grabbed that picture and put it on the flyer. So it had my name spelled correctly, but it was a picture of our guitar player, and he and I look so much alike that I call him my stunt double. I showed it to your sister, kind of laughing, and said, hey, look at this. And she said, yeah, what's wrong with it? She thought it was me too. Okay. So I couldn't really be too mad.
It even fooled your wife.
It even fooled her.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing with our times, is that you do have to be somewhat careful about what you put out there, and not it'll get
grabbed without your permission or knowledge, or even an inclination to think that somebody would use it.
Yeah, and that's a thing too. To other musicians out there, if you're just posting a picture of last weekend's show just to post one, make sure it's a photo you wouldn't mind seeing.
Be sure it's something that you're not going to cringe if somebody uses, because somebody will.
Yeah. Don't just throw that out there just to have content, because someone will be being lazy in their proactiveness and grab it.
Very true.
Well, here's to more misspelled names and wrong pictures down the line. And
hey, as long as they're putting my name out there, however they spell it is fine, and my bank is so used to it at this point that they cash the checks no matter what.
Amen. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks for having me, Grady.
Let's go to the pool.
Let's do it.